never sing along. I'll never sing along. Songs. I read all the lyrics so I can sing along. I am the latest colors, I stand above my throne, waiting for an invite to never come along. I am the latest colors, I sing the newest songs. I read all the lyrics so I can sing along. I am the latest colors, I hate the newest songs. I can stand the lyrics, I never sing along. I'll never sing along. I can't fake it, I'll just make it on my own. I'll never sing along. I can't blame them, I'll just blame them on my throne.
I'm here to help. Just ask what can I say, and I'll show you what I can do. I'm here to help. Just ask what can I say, and I'll show you what I can do. I'm here to help. Just ask what can I say, and I'll show you what I can do. I'm here to help. Just ask what can I say, and I'll show you what I can do.
This analog words, this analog words. Algorithmic projection, algorithmic projection. Network security, network security. Cybernetic perfection, cybernetic perfection. Liquid crystal seduction, liquid crystal seduction. Artificial reflection, artificial reflection. Plasma hypnosis, plasma hypnosis. Our social connection, our social connection. Synthetic, synthetic. Magnetic, magnetic. Kinetic, kinetic. Prosthetic, prosthetic. Synthetic, synthetic. Magnetic, magnetic. Kinetic, kinetic. Prosthetic, prosthetic. Synthetic, synthetic, synthetic. Digital modulation, digital modulation. systems, androgynous and systems, controlled by computer, controlled by computer, simulated empathy, simulated empathy.
Well, good morning. Happy Sunday. Wow. Okay. I guess we figured out our topic is crowd anxieties. Wow. How does that make you feel? Um, Crowd anxieties. What the hell does that have to do with Open Pagan Church? What does it have to do with anything? Hope our voice is coming through good this morning. If you didn't see the introduction video to our new green screen, well, welcome. Yeah. Open Pagan Church, where you don't have to be pagan to join. Um, if you're watching on the YouTube archives, click like, click subscribe, or click dislike if you like, and click the bell so you get notified of up and coming videos. You never know when I'm liable to be driving down the road and get a wild hair and post something. Who knows, right? Yes, welcome to Open Pagan Church. Our topic this morning is crowd anxieties. Oh, well, let me size that up a bit. How about that? Hope that's better. Right. Well, so what we're going to do is I want to kick off of that. Move me back up here. Right. So what is crowd anxieties? Well, let me ask you this. If you started watching from the introduction, okay, I started out with walking down an extremely busy street with a whole bunch of people, and I'd like for you to let me know how that made you feel. Well, let's take a look now and see if maybe that makes you feel any better. Nice calming beach running in the background. Of course, I've got the sound turned off. That way I don't have to compete with the rushing sounds of the beach, if you will, though I find it highly calming, very peaceful. So, how do you feel about crowd anxiety? What is crowd anxiety anyway? Well, crowd anxiety is where individuals have issues around large groups of people. And that can be caused by anything. It can be caused by abuse when you were younger, abuse when you were older. It can be caused by um, claustrophobia. Well, then you have to ask, what causes claustrophobia? Where does claustrophobia come from? What about um, those who grew up in the type of situation where there was no abuse, where there was no reason for claustrophobia, where there was no reason for crowd anxieties, where there was no reason for anxiety attacks or panic attacks or anything of this nature when you're in a new environment? Well, as you know, I hope you know, I'm not a licensed psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm not a physician or a doctor. I'm just a old pagan minister who happens to have studied people my entire life. When I was a young teen and a young kid, when we moved from uh, the back hill country where I was raised training horses, breaking horses, and what have you. When we moved into the city when I was 12 and 13, right? Well, when we moved into the city when I was like 12 and 13 and 14, I used to ride my bicycle to the mall. Well, malls back then were quite a bit different than malls of today. They were still big by that day's standards. They were packed with people like sardines because malls were still relatively new in the 70s. The idea of the big monster mall that you guys see now is kind of a new concept, if you will. And good morning and good afternoon to those of you just joining. So, I used to sit and watch people. I still sometimes sit and watch people. Of course, as I've gotten older, I can't walk like I used to. I used to be able to walk miles without an issue. Um, Now I walk yards and look for a chair, but it is what it is. Crowd anxiety, claustrophobia, panic attacks brought on by large numbers of people where you feel you can't breathe. Let's see if this may um, sound like you may have been here before. When you get in a large group of people, either in a enclosed environment like maybe a party or something, and you walk in, what's the first thing that happens? You take a deep breath, your eyes get real big, and you start looking around at all of the people, and you're like, oh, hell, what do I do now? And you're in an enclosed environment, so you're essentially breathing the same oxygen that everybody else is breathing and exhaling. So you try to find yourself a corner and get in it as quickly as possible. Not everybody is like me. I get into a large crowd of people. I'm fine. Now, if there's absolutely nobody there that I know, I tend to find myself a wall, and I'll tend to back up against the wall and just scope people out and feel the different energies. And then I'll start mingling and getting to know people after about 15 or 20 minutes. But there are many people that can't do that. There are a lot of people that watch our videos and watch our broadcasts that really have major crowd anxieties. How do you get around it? Well, that's as vastly different as whether or not you like walking, whether or not you like taking road trips, whether or not you like going places. Everybody's different. Where crowd anxieties and public anxieties, there is a actual phobia where people are trapped in their homes. They're too afraid to even walk out the front door. They don't feel safe. They walk out the front door. They're thrown into a instant panic attack. Well, the first thing modern day society wants to do is pop a pill at you, right? Open wide, and throw a pill at you. Well, okay, that works for some, but not for most. But for those who suffer from those types of anxieties, right? Crowd anxieties, claustrophobia, the good morning, Tasha. Um, the phobia where people scare you, and a whole lot of people can really turn you into a hiding pile of mush. Well, this isn't necessarily mean that, uh-oh, reconnection successfully. Okay, nah, blah. Well, we lost connectivity for just a second. My apologies. It's either something going on with Facebook or something going on with my internet provider. But anyway, where were we? Yes, crowd anxieties. Okay, we're back. Yeah. All right. How? Yes. Um, that word anthropoph. Well, anyway, I'm not. Y'all look in the chat because Camille posted the scientific term for it, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word. Anyway, um, you know what's interesting? I've found that a lot of times it doesn't matter with people I've met whether you were raised in groups of people, whether you were raised sequestered from people. If you don't know what sequestered means, Google it. Me personally, I was raised in and around groups of people where we interacted a lot with large groups of people, and it kind of made me a little more comfortable. Now, I've also met people through the years that were raised with large groups of people, and it made them worse. It made it to the point with them where they just didn't want to be around people at all. And when I'm saying people, I'm not talking about two or three, four, maybe five friends. I'm talking about um, school, grade school, middle school, high school, forget college. I've known people through the years that were highly intelligent that opted out of going to college because they could not handle the large groups of people. And, yeah, um, wasn't sequestered, but was raised without peer contact. Well, yeah, I get it. The only thing, and I was for the most part the same way, surrounded by mostly just adults. I had very few childhood friends until I got into my teen years, and well, by that time, I was pretty much already set. Kids drove me crazy, had no idea what to do with them. I have a 12, almost 13-year-old daughter that a lot of times I sit there and look at her and go, "What? What planet are you coming from? What? What?" But Michelle says crowds usually don't bother me. Usually, it depends on my ha 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 ha. Yes, absolutely. It depends on the mood, doesn't it? It depends on the mood that you're in and how you feel about what's going on at the time. So, that being said, we started out the broadcast with a video clip of walking down an extremely busy street, being surrounded by people. I don't know exactly where it was, but you can YouTube um, crowds, and that's how I found it. I was actually amazed at the amount of crowd videos there actually is on YouTube. And of course, the beach scene that that I played during the introduction, calming, peaceful, serenity. So, what do you think? What do you think causes crowd anxieties? What are some of the ways that, if you have suffered from crowd anxieties in the past, what are some of the ways that you deal with it? Now, I can tell you the way many people deal with it, and we meet them a lot. In, we meet them a lot. Um, we meet them a lot on the internet. A lot of people that we meet in Facebook, other chat rooms, YouTube. There are a boatload of people on the internet that have the inability to crowdsource, if you will, or to deal with the general public outside society. So they lean very heavily on social networks such as Facebook, Witchbox, um, YouTube. Um, Damn, there's so many of them now. I got to pull my Flickr. Right? I do a lot on Flickr, FetLife, YouTube. Believe it or not, there's a chat area on my game that I play, Forge of Empires. Like I say, Facebook. It just, I mean, Tumblr, of course. Stumble Upon is no longer there. If you guys have ever heard of stumbleupon.com, they closed last month. Really irritated me to no end. But anyway, so wow, what are some of the ways that we can help people through crowd anxieties? Well, if you're one of the individuals that have trouble even getting out of your home, okay? You have trouble even getting out past your door. And I've seen some cases so bad where people can't even open their window blinds because the thought of seeing outside the window, outside of their protective box, sends them into a panic attack. That's rough. But for those of you watching our broadcast, or if you know someone that has this problem, you might could share this broadcast with them, because there are a number of sources out there on the internet that can help you. We can give you ideas to help you get step by step, right? Like I say, we're not psychologists or psychiatrists. We are people. We are a people that have experienced quite a few different ailments, um, psychoanalytical, what have you. And being a pagan minister, I am allowed to spiritually counsel those and give ideas. Um, I'm not going to give you a diagnosis, that's not my job. If I or we think that you're too deep for us to do anything with, then we're going to work with you and help you kind of maybe find a psychologist or a psychiatrist, a licensed health professional that can help you get through these anxieties. But in my personal opinion, and I say this again in my personal opinion, the people that I have helped through crowd anxieties, the people that I've worked with that have these types of problems of even getting out of their homes, getting in a car and driving to the supermarket can be a life challenging experience, right? Yes, Debbie just typed her quick story in the chat. Read it. It's a good one. But the people that I've worked with and that we've worked with through the years, it generally starts, believe it or not, with self-confidence. It's been my experience that self-confidence is a very hard thing to rebuild. It's hard to come up once you have wound yourself up so tight that you've already convinced yourself you're not going to do it, so you don't even try. And it makes it really hard on you, not to mention family members and all of that. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're talking about you. We're talking about those of you that have issues with large numbers of people. And I'll tell you a little secret. When I get into a large group of people, and listen to this very close, okay? Because here is a small psychosis that has a lot to do with your mindset, right? Has everything to do with mindset. Anybody that's ever stood in a circle with me can tell you I have stood in a circle with 100 plus people. I think the biggest circle I ever stood in was 160 some odd people. And I conducted that circle, led through the chants, the march, the organization, the setup, the configuration of the circle. The picture of the altar you see in the background was my altar of the time. And the circle that we had at that point, that picture, was a 60-foot diameter circle with 3 rings in it. You've heard me talk about that before. But in large groups of people in a circle that I was conducting, I had absolutely no problems with new people coming in, conducting the energy, dealing with everything that needed to be dealt with, to choreograph the people, pulling other people together to help. But in retrospect, the circles that I have been to outside of my circle, our circle, the HOP circle, or the Grove of the Celtic Shaman circle, other people's circles that I've been to, I walk in the front door with a bit of anxiety myself. Yes. Um, I enter their property with a bit of trepidation. When I walk in the door, wherever the circle is being held, I have experienced issues with some crowd anxieties. When I've been to places I don't know with very large groups of people, airports, train stations, bus terminals, New York, New Jersey. I had absolutely no problem with Edinburgh whatsoever. No problem with any of the train station. Um, 2018. This year, earlier this year, um, I went over to Scotland, spent some time over there with Debbie and the rest of the family, and we rode the train from Galashiels to, from Tweedbank, Galashiels, to Edinburgh. Got out at the big Edinburgh train depot. The old, original Edinburgh train station was absolutely amazing. The architecture was just unbelievable. But when I got out of that train, I had in my head that, well, okay, we're going to get off the train and we're going to walk just a little bit, and then we'll be up on the main street to catch the tour bus to go take the tour that we were going to take. Um, and right, Waverly. But anyway, I got off of that train and we started walking, and the longer we walked, the more I'm thinking, holy hell, sardine people. Imagine an airport terminal and everybody's in a hurry to get everywhere else because there's a number of people that still use trains to get back and forth to work. Okay? Well, I found myself not only tiring easier than I thought I would, but I also found myself automatically putting shields up. And anybody that knows anything about me at all knows that I typically just like to be a window. I'm around people. I convert my energy to a window so that energies just pass through. But I caught myself in this train depot, train station, train town, outside of a small city. But I caught myself shielding. Now, of course, once we made it to the high street and actually got outside, there were still boatloads of people, but I didn't have any problems. My shields automatically came down. I reverted to my window state. I had no problems. Even when we got on the tour bus, I had no problems with my shields. I was able to maintain a window state. So, does it not more contend with Sean? Sorry, Sean is asking video issues. No, we're not actually having video issues on this end because I've got 2.6 megs upstream, which is all I'm using. The problem is actually, believe it or not, Facebook. Let me see if I can ease off of some of the bandwidth here a bit. Right. Yeah, some people are having problems getting the stream to load. So, but anyway, if some people are having better luck through the back door or whatever Camille means by that, post that in the chat there so that people can keep up. So, I told that story for a reason. So, what do I think the overall issue was? Um, oh, well, never mind then. What do you think the overall issue was with that whole thing? What do you think the overall issue was with that whole thing? Any of you that have ever done, um, any of you that have ever done circle with me, you know that I don't typically have an issue with large groups of people. Any of you that have ever traveled with me, I generally don't have issues with large groups of people. So, alright, caught off guard. Alright, yep. Control. It all really truly comes down to control. Am I in control of my surroundings, my personal space, my my personal space? For those of you that don't know, your personal space is about a 2-foot square around you. If you could measure off 4 square foot, that's 2 foot by 2 foot square. Those of you that are in the metric system, you can do the conversion. I'm not going to bother for you. But if you measure off a 2 foot by 2 foot square, that's 4 square foot. That is proven scientifically to be your personal space. So, is it not all down to control? And let's think about that for just a moment. I'm going to reach over to my wee fridge and grab me a Dr. Pepper. But I'm going to step away for about 30 seconds. And I want you to think about, does crowd anxiety more come down to control or the lack of control more than it does the crowd itself? Consider that for a minute. I'll be right back. So, what do you think? Does it more come down to control? Maybe the lack of the ability to control your own surroundings? And what is it to be caught off guard? Not to be surprised, spooked, if you will. Not to be just, oh, hell, I had no idea it was going to be this way. Or, like Debbie says, not for me. Or is it a preconceived notion? Something in your mind that sets you off before you ever leave the house to go deal with the crowd? Does it happen before you ever leave the house, or does it happen after you get on location? What do you think? Well, I think with everybody it's going to be a little different. And in the last um, portion of our broadcast, I wanted to kind of maybe help give some of you ideas of how to get past the crowd anxieties, how to get over some of the issues that you might find yourself having while trying to deal with crowds. So, what do you think? What are some of the things that you do? Those who are watching live and those who come later to watch the pre recorded broadcast, post how you deal with your crowd anxieties or fear of being around groups of large people, being around large groups of people. One, self confidence. Like I say, it's been my experience that self confidence is by far the best way to go. You have to, one, convince yourself that you can. And I don't know if any of the, what do they call them, millennials, are familiar with this story, but the little engine that could. Those in my age group would probably remember the stories when we were younger, the book, The Little Engine That Could. In short, the little engine trying to get up the side of a mountain, and he says, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Well, he gets to the top, and he gets over the top and starts down the other side of the hill, and he says, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could. Well, what it kind of comes down to is it kind of comes down to that, I think. Um, okay. Um, yeah. Comes down from being attacked. Um, you can't see the attack coming on when you're in large crowds of people. True. True. But the way Debbie gets over it is she scans the crowd. Scans the crowd when she walks in, puts herself in a bubble. Now, bubbles are good, right? Shields are not always good because if you're going to be attacked, um, a shield can sometimes keep you from feeling the impending attack. Bubbles are a different type of energy thought process where it just kind of makes you feel a little safer, but yet you can feel what's going on around you to a degree depending on how you build your style of bubble. And that's, wow, that's a million different ways we could describe that one. But going back to what I was talking about with self-confidence, here's my whole philosophy behind that. If you convince yourself before you ever get started that you can't, have you not already set yourself up to fail before you even get started? And the same goes with projects. When when you're setting yourself up for a project or to go on a trip or to do anything, you have to convince yourself that you can, you will, you are. And there are a lot of things that I do as I get older that my body asks me if I've lost my mind. So, what I've had to do is rearrange, if you will, rearrange that thought process of from I think I can to I know I can to a degree. I can do this to a degree. I can get things done in stages. And I approach the same thing when I'm dealing with large groups of people. If I'm going into a situation which I have absolutely no idea about, for which I have no idea of the layout, where I'm going, what I'm going to be doing, nothing, I approach it openly and I approach it with the self confidence that I can do this. And I have been told that sometimes I come across arrogant. I don't necessarily set out to, but if I have to build up my self confidence enough where I know I can do this, and some people perceive or assume that I am arrogant, okay, sorry, that's your perception, you can have it. That's not my intention. But how about you? Building yourself up with self confidence isn't going to heal magically the situation. You're going to fall, right? You're going to build yourself up before you leave the house, and you're going to say, I can do this. I've got myself built up. I know I can deal with this. I'm going to get out and I'm going to have fun in spite of myself. I'm going to enjoy this party, circle, travel, group, whatever. And you just might walk out of the house and turn around and walk right back in. Close the door, lean up against the door and go, well, that didn't work. Try again. Pick up your bags, ready to go, out the door. Made it to the sidewalk. If you have a sidewalk, maybe the car, and you turn around and you run back in the house and get out. You lean up against the door. Oh shit, that didn't work. I'll try again. So you make it out the door. You make it to the automobile, bus, whatever your means of transportation are. Then you have to slow down. You have to kind of slow down and start taking in the beauty around you. Those of you that live in a city that like the city, the big buildings and all of that, okay. If that's beauty to you, have at it. Me personally, I want trees and grass and, flowers and pretty colors and lots of trees, emphasis on trees. Mountains if I can, but, well, I'm not going to find them where I live here in Texas. Debbie finds Diet Pepsi. Helps. Hey, whatever. Um, whatever works for you. But if you have it bad, okay, like we've got one of our members that watches a lot that has crowd anxiety bad. I mean, to the point of panic attacks in large groups of people. You start out with smaller groups of people. And a group, the definition of a group, depends on the interpretation of the individual encountering these groups. I have heard some people say more than three is a group. Okay, I see 10 people and more as a group, but that's uh, my own interpretation of a group, right? But you do it in small increments. Find a group of, if you're one of those where you have trouble with more than three people, set up a meeting with four. Go in, meet, enjoy the conversation, listen, interact, um, pay attention to the conversation at hand, and sometimes, a lot of times, before you know it, you're enjoying yourself and sucked into the conversation in spite of your anxieties and your fears. So, okay, maybe the day is still young, maybe the night is still young. Maybe you pick up the phone and call a couple of more of your friends, or you text. Nowadays, nobody calls anybody anymore. Everybody's on the text machine, if you will. Text a couple more of your friends and say, "Hey, I'm trying something. I'm working on, getting out of the house, getting in with large groups of people. We have four. Let's bring on two more. I'm feeling adventurous tonight. By God, we're going to bring on two more people. Now we have six. Oh my God, your anxieties are starting to go to here. I get it. I'm not into people, she says. Don't want people, she says. Don't like people, she says. They say, y'all say, a lot of people say, I don't like people. Well, I would be lying if I said large groups of people do not make me slightly nervous. But I didn't have a whole lot of choice with the chosen path that I'm on. But at the same time, somewhere deep inside me, I have the faith that the people that watch our broadcast and watch our videos maybe will help someone. Um, People that like me to come and speak at groups and events, do workshops, do seminars on energy, holistic Christology, tantric, whatever, what have you. People that like for me to do public speaking, right? It's a part of my chosen path. It's a part of who I am. And I'm the type of person, I don't do well sequestered to a small space. I am a social animal. But those of you that want to be. Now, see, here's the thing, guys. If you don't want to be social, and this thing called the World Wide Web is enough for you, I am not telling you that you have to be social. That's not my place. I'm not telling you you have to get out of your house. I'm telling you science has proven that it's not healthy for you to be stuck in your home. Um, but, hey, what does science know, right? But to me, baby steps, right? You don't all have to be like me that approach things like a bull in a china closet head on. Maybe that's not you. Good, because it's not always healthy for me either. I have found these days when I hit things head on, more things hurt. And they take longer to heal. But anyway, the I think I can over time turn into I know I can, and that could turn into see, I can. It comes in with building self confidence. These fears and these anxieties, they take time to get over, and some people are perfectly fine with these problems and not even trying. But something I have found, ladies and gentlemen, is these are the same people, the very people that say, I am perfectly fine being cooped up in my house where nobody can get to me, nobody can bother me, and whatever going on outside my house does not affect me in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It does. The things that go on outside your home do affect you in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Um, Depending on what part of the world you live in, um, U.S., UK, Saudi Arabia, Germany, Russia, what the hell ever. What the government does and what society does outside of your home does affect you in one way or the other. Believe it or not. Um, I've had people say, you can't hurt me inside my home. Actually, they can. Now, I didn't say that to scare you to make you move to the closet. I said that to help you realize that by slowly pushing yourself step by step, if you want to get out, if you're tired of sitting at home, and if you're tired of not having anyone or anything or anybody to do with anything, you have to make the choice. At the end of the day, it all comes down to you making the choice to get past these things that keep you down. Getting out one step at a time. Some people it may take years. Some people it may take weeks, days, months. Some people may even take them a couple hours just to shove their butt out the door and do something. But it's like anything else. If you convince yourself you can't, you never will. If you convince yourself you won't, then you never will. It starts with making the decision to do it, to just do it. And in closing, I'm looking at the time here. We're about 24, 25 minutes past the hour. In closing, let me give you some recommendations, some ideas, if you will. There are counseling sites online, very reputable counseling sites. And the next time I hear them advertised, I'll post the link here in this particular video. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. If anybody else does, please feel free to post the links to reputable counseling sites where people that have problems leaving their home and the only thing they have is the internet can click on those links and maybe get the help that they need. There are people over on the House of Pagans site that can help you. There are people over on, we just changed the name of it, Open Pagan Families group. There's a group called Open Pagan Families that is real good. Like I say, House of Pagans group is real good. If you're interested in shamanism, maybe understanding a little more about what shamanism is, the Open GCS group is out there. So there are pagan groups out there, and you can voice your fears. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you voice your fears in a group and you get trolled or somebody starts jacking with you or making you feel bad about yourself, don't be afraid to tell them piss off. Contact the admin of the group and just exit the group and go find another group. Don't let these people beat on you and put you in a deeper hole than you already are. Crowd anxieties is very real. Performance anxieties, crowd anxieties, claustrophobia, the issues and fear of other people. We as human beings should not fear other people. We shouldn't fear our gods, we shouldn't fear our goddesses, and we damn sure should not fear each other. We shouldn't fear ourselves, most important. There are people who does fear themselves because they're suicidal. There is help out there for that as well. So if you fear yourself, you fear others, and your fears overrank your common sense. I don't say that as a put down at all. Seriously, if your fears override your common sense, reach out to those who can help. Don't wrap yourself up so bad to the point where you have no place else to turn. And with that, I hope this video was of help to you. We look forward to your comments. We always love it when you're here with our live broadcast. We hope to see you next week here on Open Pagan Church with another thought-provoking topic. And we hope you like the new green screen. It's really kind of cool. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.